So my name is Babajide Owoyele. I'm Nigerian, and I'm currently doing my PhD in Potsdam on design thinking and innovation.
Okay, so welcome to Poland, and you're at the Coins conference.
Yes, I'm here as one of the speakers. Our research work is on using body signals, sensors to understand creativity and what drives collaboration.
Using body sensors.
Body signals.
Signals, okay.
So your heart rate could tell us something about how you're collaborating, how creative you are.
Okay.
Your electrodermal activity, how your skin responds, can tell us something. So that's the line of inquiry.
So what you're saying, if we all plugged into some sort of body sensors during a meeting, we could sort of predict whether it's going in a good direction or bad?
Well, yes. Let's say our work is focused on design teams, but these tools are now easily available. Watches, smartwatches, and computer science is becoming more getting into our work. And so in a meeting, if your boss was saying something that was annoying, if we put a sensor on you, we might be able to see a spike in when you get frustrated at what he does. We can characterize frustration. We can characterize happiness when he says, "Hey, Arik, you've been promoted." Your response, your physiological response could rise. It's always, I mean, with digital, we can then see waveforms and know that this means sorrow, this means sadness, this means happiness, this means joy, this means frustration.
Okay.
So that's what we try to bring into design, especially when teams collaborate, two people work together, when they have difficult tasks. Are they frustrated in the same way? Is the waveform of their frustration similar?
Okay.
Are they following each other? Am I happy when you're sad when we're doing a specific task? How does this impact our creativity? So that's
as with everything, these modern technologies, it sounds on one hand fascinating, on the other hand Big Brotherly.
Yes.
Everyone knows whether I'm happy, and that's a bit scary. But I really would like to talk to you about design thinking, because we here in Poland we love this. We discovered this approach. We try to do things more in this way, using the empathy as a first stage, and then go on into prototyping. But you've studied it properly for 2 years at the design.
It's a lifelong process, for me.
Have you seen some? What are the common mistakes in adapting design thinking in practice? Have you witnessed some of those, and you could warn us against?
So sometimes people ask to use an approach because it's trendy. But they're not ready to give it the time it takes.
Okay.
We have to keep in mind that design thinking has a lot of roots from design and anthropology, and it's a modern day method. It's a contemporary 21st century approach to doing creativity or getting innovative results with following some steps.
Okay.
It's no longer left to magic. If I'm creative, if I'm a genius, then I will come up with creative ideas. No, design thinking comes to the mindset that if everybody can learn the tools and the methods, and we work together with specific goals, and we give it the rigor it takes, we have a higher chance of getting innovative outcomes that are useful to humans. It usually starts with humans in mind. So most times people fail to deliver results because they do not give it the rigor it demands. If you go through a process saying, I've done 1, I've done 2, I've done 3, I've done 4, I've done 5, then I should have a final result. No. Did you apply the rigor in all the steps? Did you combine the methods? Keeping in mind there's a lot of improvisation, things you do on the go when you do design thinking.
It's really, what you're saying really reminds me about something that was very modern and fashionable like 20 or 30 years ago, which was brainstorming. And people would get frustrated with brainstorming. Oh, it's just another session of sorts. But they didn't put the procedure in place. They were thinking, okay, let's just brainstorm and do nothing. Just use the white board.
Very good point you brought up, because as a researcher, we investigate why design thinking works or why it fails. And that's the goal of the design thinking research program in Potsdam. And we do this in collaboration with Stanford. Our new approach to this research of understanding why it works or fails is we have a performance mindset to it.
Okay.
So we bring in the performance areas like sports, jazz, and we ask ourselves, how do jazz players perform?
Okay.
How much rigor do they put to it? How much skill do they have? How much things do they do on the go?
Yeah.
And so once we put that performance mindset to it, it forces us to apply more rigor. And most importantly, as you mentioned, brainstorming.
Yeah.
Thinking is not just in the head.
Yeah.
We think with our brain, we think with our body, we think with things.
With space.
With space.
Yeah.
And in this term, I mean things in terms of space, all the things that
With
have
relations with other people.
Yes, external.
Yeah.
So it is embodied cognition, external cognition,
Yeah.
and so we're shifting more and more to pushing teams, design thinking teams, to leverage that explicitly. How can interacting with an object inspire me to come up with more ideas? Because the jazz player is kind of nothing without his instruments, and so sometimes, as with design, your instrument is your body, your instrument is other people. You think with other people, you bounce ideas off them, and then it keeps on getting better. So that's our new approach to what we call designing this performance.
I think it's really deep insight because you've mentioned jazz players and sport athletes.
Yeah.
And in business, we tend to rush it too much. And so when you view a jazz player on the stage, you think, oh, it's so spontaneous, it's so improvised, it's so, easy and light.
Yeah.
But he has been practicing so many years, hasn't he?
Yeah, and
there's a rigor.
Yeah, there's a rigor to it, and there's an audience.
Yeah.
And there's an audience, and there's an impact of the audience on the jazz player, ideally. And so what we try to do is to create an audience also with our designers' performance
So that's the
approach.
prototyping phase of
More of how you can look at yourself. And this is where we bring in digital technology and video recording of teams. If you can look at yourself perform, then you have an audience of yourself, and then you can see how you're performing better or not. Why was I putting my hand on my neck? Why all this while just talking to this person? Why? I was confused there, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
So with this, bringing in this audience of you into design thinking sessions, teams can improve, they can be better. They can see how much they use gestures, they can see how much they were not focused, they can see what kind of questions they ask. Questions that teams ask changes the direction of what they do. If you ask terrible questions, you have terrible conversations ongoing.
You're saying we should, for example, at the simplest level, videotape our meeting.
Yes.
And perhaps watch it, how we interplay.
Yes, because we live a lot to the fact, because we're very used to meeting.
Yeah.
We think, we do a lot of review as companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we can really review the things. We spend quite a lot of time in meetings, so we can review meetings and see outcomes. And if you put in time into something, you could get something back out of it, because we know that the audience influences jazz players, and they practice a lot. So if we say we do design thinking, and we don't practice a lot, and we're not watching ourselves, then we are not rigorous enough, and we might not have beautiful tunes like the jazz players usually have. And of course, then we expect a lot of money to come from this business design teams. But if we put in enough rigor, if we practice with the right tools, if we practice in the right approach, then that's because for sure we have data from Stanford teams, design teams, those who ask good questions, who review themselves, who use a lot of body gestures, they have radical outcomes. And this is what companies are looking for to make more money. How do I come up with the next iPhone, the next Apple? That's what they want. And so it's about giving it the rigor it takes. So unfortunately, they've adopted design thinking. It has changed mindsets, of course. There are 3 layers of outcomes in design thinking. You have the affective, where your mindset, how you feel creative, yes, but without skills and cognitive skills, cognitive outcomes and skill-based outcomes, yes, there's a decline. You have happy people who feel they're creative, and then they lack skills to actually deliver.
Yeah.
And then the designers get really angry. The ones who are in the universities are like, yes, That's why it doesn't work, because the rigor is there. So that's what we try to bring: design skills, then to design thinking.
So let's finish on a positive note.
Yeah.
That when you do actually apply the rigor and the method properly, you really can have outstanding results.
Yes, if you give it time, if you give it quality, and if you're open, I think. If you already have an objective in mind of what you surely want to deliver as a product, then if you go out and meet users, and it looks like they want something else, you might want to force it on them because you already have your solutions in mind. But most importantly, design thinking could help us understand ourselves more, like to understand how we make decisions, how we think about ourselves and how organizations should work. Yeah, it's relevant. I would say one of the very, very relevant 21st century approaches to innovation that we have, and I'm privileged to be part of the group that is supporting that, progressing. Yeah,
excellent, amazing stuff. Thank you so much, Baba.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers.